Peace at last. Although the battles had ceased, the real work was beginning. The Gors civilians found it difficult to believe that an invading army would treat them so kindly. Accustomed to the atrocities and genocide of their own army, these concepts were hard to grasp. The Kunis were used to locate the scattered armies, and a delegation was sent out that included former members of the Voice of the Gods, who begged their forgiveness on their knees and confessed that they, too, had been deceived. They recounted how the Antes regime had been overthrown. At first, they didn't believe them, but they agreed to send messengers with them back to the Gors cities. The remaining members of the royal family, who prostrated themselves before the brothers, after they were brought before Felix and Lucas, who were accompanied by the former generals of the Andi. She is Helid, and her son's name is Tarmain. They suffered mistreatment at the hands of Armin, the general stated. This revelation surprised Helid so much that she broke protocol. How did you know that, General? I thought I had kept that secret well, the now widowed female Gor asked. My spies were always nearby, pretending to be servants, Emtos replied. We couldn't do anything, but at least we were aware of everything that was happening. None of that matters anymore. But we must know how you feel now that the Anti is gone. Lucas interrupted. I am grateful. Not only were the Gor freed from him, but also my son and I, replied the former queen, whose title was more of an honorary one since she held no real authority. And, young man, your name is Tarmain, isn't it? Asked Felix. Yes, my lord. The young Gor replied respectfully. What do you think now that you won't be the Annie? Lucas asked. I confess I'm relieved. The idea of sending men to massacre and enslave others horrified me. But Lord Towel told me that no one should know how I felt. At least not yet. The young Gor replied candidly. Have you been in contact with Towel? Lucas asked, intrigued. Yes, he first appeared to me when I was a child, when I felt my life had no meaning. He gave me back my hope. He told me about you, about how you came into this world with nothing but the clothes on your backs, and how you created the nation of Felak with your own hands, the young man said, filled with admiration. The Gor present were surprised to hear. You came into this world, you come from another world, they said, and bowed down before them. Please, you don't have to do this. That's an exaggerated and idealized version of what actually happened. We had a lot of help from the good people of Felak. Felix defended himself, and all the non-humans who joined us gave us invaluable help. Again, Felix tried not to take credit for Felak's achievements. Perhaps, but without you, everything would be the same or worse than when you arrived, the young man replied calmly. Neither Lucas nor Felix could find a word to say in the face of young Gor's irrefutable logic. How is it possible that such a stupid guy has such an intelligent son? He definitely takes after his mother, Lucas thought. Lords of Felak, I have a request for you, the young prince announced. And what is it, young Tarmain? I wish to live in Felak. I wish to see with my own eyes the nation you created. Both Felix and Lucas quickly realized that dissuading him would be a futile endeavor, but they considered that Felak was safer for him and his mother in case someone wanted to take revenge on them. A governing council was created, comprised not only of Gors but also Ephors, Talids, humans, and members of other races, to oversee the repair of the attacked cities and the distribution of food. Representatives from Felak were, of course, present at the deliberations. Slavery was abolished. The Gors also learned Felak's agricultural techniques, and the Ephor added their own, though this took several years to implement. Felak established schools to teach the Bunda, the former slaves, humans, and other races to read and write, adopting Felak's educational system. The educated Padar, impressed by Felak's alphabet, found it more efficient for daily transactions than Rakashi's arcane system. A group of Vedos renegades, accustomed to their privileges, resented these changes. They missed having other races under their control. They tried to organize an army, but because most of the Bunda benefited from the changes, and the Padar also detested serving the Vedos, these attempts were rejected. Thus, the supposed counter-revolutionary group ended up as a band of road robbers. After many months of hard work, the Gor cities had been rebuilt. Felak techniques were shared with the Gor. Roads were built with stones cut from Gor quarries. Stalls were also established selling Felak goods, which the Gor found fascinating. The Felak economic system was also adopted in Gor territory. The first few years were the most difficult. There was much resentment between the Gor and the other races. The 4 Gor generals had tasted Felak's cuisine and were fascinated. Things like spices were unknown in their culture. Cultural and economic exchange between Felix and the Gor nation continued to increase rapidly. Felix and Lucas knew they could have made the Gors a vassal state, but this would only breed resentment and hatred in the future. It was best that the Gor enjoy the same freedom the Felucites enjoyed. So Lucas wrote several treatises on democracy and also began some experiments with villages where they could elect their own leaders. These were small steps that would likely take a long time, but they were a start. 10 years later, relations between towns and races were excellent. Not bad for two school teachers, Lucas remarked as they walked through the streets of Felix. Right, Felix? Many people of different races greeted them. Perhaps, but we couldn't do anything without Zariel and the people of Felix and all the people of different shapes and sizes we've met in this world, Felix replied. Meanwhile, the former colony of Koresh was becoming a thriving town. The lightstones, discovered by Peter, were revolutionizing lighting. Torches and candles could cause fires, while the bioluminescent creatures produced light simply by adding the mineral mixture that was their food. They could last for years on just 1/4 kilo of the substance. Atexa had moved there and was expecting a baby with Peter in a few months. The Tkam had also moved to Koresh and taken up various jobs in the town. This story has already been long enough, remarked an aged Alios. They did many things for the benefit of others. Now they are retired and have left their children to take over the government after properly training them. They also influenced races in other continents, but that would be for second volume. That night, Zariel appeared to the brothers. Felix was 54 years old, while Lucas was 50. But this time, he wasn't the jovial Zariel they were used to. He looked somber. "Hello, Zariel. Why so serious?" Lucas asked. "I just arrived from Earth. Something terrible happened there. I think millions of people have died. It was a volcanic eruption like I've never seen before. It started in the northern hemisphere, but its effects have encompassed the entire planet," the spirit explained. "Could it have been a super eruption?" Lucas asked. "Everything is dark even during the day, and the temperature has dropped a lot, especially in the northern hemisphere. It was less destructive in the southern hemisphere. Earth will recover, it always does, and although few, I'm convinced there are survivors. Humans on Earth have survived cataclysms like this before," the spirit stated. Neither Felix nor Lucas had anything to say. The weight of the news had left them speechless. This super eruption was inevitable, but I didn't think it would happen now. It could have taken another 1,000 years, but it happened now. "I'm so sorry," Zariel apologized. "Why are you telling us this? You could have left us in the dark," Felix said. "Yes, I considered doing that, but you deserve to know the truth. My brothers and I will help them start anew, but it will take hundreds, possibly thousands of years to rebuild your civilization. But there may be wars and suffering in the process," Zariel warned. "That has always been the case since humans first lived on Earth. Perhaps you can guide them down the right path," Lucas observed. "We will try, but we cannot prevent them or you from making your own decisions," Zariel promised. "By the way, you haven't told us what's on the other 2 continents of Zul," Felix said. "That's true. I think it's time you knew that too," the spirit affirmed. And he proceeded to tell them. The end for now.